Hello, math people. This mini review lesson is aimed at looking at dividing fractions. So let's get it right into it. The first thing that in our dividing lesson we talked about was a little bit of pre-knowledge. Like we didn't get right into dividing. We talked about something, reciprocals, that you need to know what this word means before you can divide. So what is it? What are reciprocals? Reciprocals are two numbers whose product is 1. That's fancy for saying we're looking for two numbers that when you multiply them together, they equal 1. So for example, if I had the number 4/7, what times 4/7 is 1? And the answer to that is 7/4. If I was to multiply these two numbers together, I'd get 28 over 28, or 1. So the reciprocal of 4/7 is 7/4. If I had, let's do another one, I don't know, 9/2. Its reciprocal is 2/9. And the reason why is because 9/2 times 2/9 is 18/18, or 1. If I had the number, I don't know, let's go with 5. Well, its reciprocal is 1/5. 5, another way of expressing that is 5/1. 5/1 times 1/5 is 5/5, or 1 whole. You'll notice a pattern here. I notice a pattern, and that is the reciprocal of any number. Some people were saying you just flip it. If you just flip the fraction over or the number over, that is its reciprocal. 4/7, flip it, 7/4. 9/2, flip it, 2/9. Another example we should look at is what happens if you have a mixed number, let's say 3 2/3. Well, 3 2/3, if you were to express this as just a fraction, that would be 11/3. So, all right, 3 2/3, also known as 11/3. Its reciprocal is 3/11. It's still just this number flipped. You flip it. Now, why is that important? That's important because to divide when a fraction is involved, you need to multiply by the, here's that word, reciprocal. And I'll put in parentheses of the second fraction, of the number that's being divided. So for example, 3/4 divided by 5/12. You're not actually going to do any division here. When we divide fractions, we actually take a step and rewrite it as a multiplication problem. So we're going to rewrite this as 3/4. What does this say to do? Multiply by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 5/12? 12/5. This division problem and this multiplication problem are equivalent. They mean the same thing. They will result in the same answer. So for any division with fractions that we have, we actually aren't going to be dividing. Instead, we're going to take a second and rewrite the division problem as a multiplication problem. So 3/4 divided by 5/12 is the same thing as 3/4 times 12/5. Some people were remembering this as keep, change, flip. You keep the first fraction the same, you change your division to multiplication, and then you change the second fraction, the one that's being divided, into its reciprocal, aka you flip it. And so my final answer here would be 36/20, or if I were to simplify that, 1 16/20, or if I was to simplify that, 1 4/5. Final answer. Let's look at another example. We'll do 2 more examples. All you really need to be able to do is rewrite this as multiplication and then let the multiplying skills take over. So keep the first fraction the same, multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Done. This division problem and this multiplication problem mean the same thing. And so now I'm just going to multiply like I normally would. You could pre-simplify if you want. I'm just going to, the numbers are small enough that I'm just going to multiply here and then simplify at the end. Divide them both by 3. Final answer, 1/4. And that's it. The only slight difference is if you have mixed numbers, before you do anything, rewrite the division problem using improper fractions. So 23 over 6, 5 over 3. And then, as we just did before, keep the first fraction the same, change your division to multiplication, and the reciprocal of the second fraction. Flip it, 3/5. Done. And then just multiply like you normally would. In this case, I will pre-simplify to avoid having to multiply by 23 on top. Both of these can be divided by 3. And so I get 23 over 10, or 2 3/10. Anyways, that's dividing in a nutshell. I hope it helps a little bit. You're going to have to work on this, but if you have questions beyond this, let me know. And otherwise, I'll see ya.